I literally today finished my final year project video. In this video I'm going to talk about like the behind the scenes, the process of how I made that video, because I think that's quite interesting. And that would have been something I would have watched if I was trying to learn how to make videos. And I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I feel like I've finally got a process that I really enjoy and that has yielded the result that I wanted before I started filming. I want to talk through this video because as my degree comes to a close, this is sort of the amalgamation of my entire year. I've definitely said that word wrong. It's really embarrassing. I want to play it, so let me play it for you. It's only like 2 minutes long, so here, enjoy the video. So yeah, that was it. That's my pitch sort of video. The brief for that was quite broad because in our first submission, as part of the same module, we had to make a 5-minute video that sort of outlined a bit more about what it actually did and like the problem and all that sort of stuff. So this one, for me, I took it a bit more creatively, like no text, no words. It was all just let the visuals tell the story and the music and stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed making it. And it was a proper, like, I planned it out, not every single shot, but you know, the rough story arc, and it was really fun. I enjoyed it. So I want to go through and sort of explain what I was thinking and how I got the shots that I got and the gear that I used, whatever, the whole thing. So starting from the beginning, this first shot, top down, it looks a little grainy, but that's okay. I feel like the quality doesn't really matter for a shot like this. It was me with my Osmo Nano, which is this camera. This is Holly's one, and I just taped it to the ceiling, and yeah, I was just filming there. But the lighting, I think that's the biggest thing, is the first half, it's color graded as well. So I've shot on my Sony A7CII in S-Log 3, and then color graded it so that the first half is like blue and cool and a bit dark, and obviously you've got the bars at the top that then halfway through they sort of grow out to make you feel like you're involved a bit more in the video as it pivots. The first bit was just sort of laying out the problem, and I wanted this feeling of being alone, isolated, and that first shot, like a really wide angle of the room and just this one person by themselves on their phone in the bed, sort of summed that up quite well. And that zoomed in shot of the text, that's actually, I bought these macro, they're called like macro tube extenders or something like that, and they go between the lens and the camera body, it basically just changes where the focal length is from the glass, so you can get focus on things really close to the lens. So like I was literally filming it like this close and it was in focus, and it's obviously not the most incredible macro shot because it's of a phone screen, but you get the idea from it. It's like really zoomed in, that's all you can see. And then yeah, the slow pan out of the camera sort of, I feel like if you're panning in slowly or like zooming in slightly, it makes the user feel like involved a bit more, but if you're panning out, it's like the opposite. It's like, oh, I'm not really involved here, and it makes it feel a bit more lonely, and that's what I was going for. Again, the ticking clock, that was a macro shot. I was just testing out this new thing, just to really show the problem is your housemates are doing something else, they don't see the phone, they're not always on their phone, or like it's not directly in front of them, so it's sort of, you lose communication time. And this opening the fridge, that shot, it's sort of off center, it's skewed, and I think subtly, like, it's not one of those things that you really think about when you're watching it, but it just subtly feels wrong. It doesn't feel like it should be, like you almost want it to be horizontal, and again it just creates this feeling that something's wrong. Just the close-ups of filling up a coffee, again using that off-center horizon level, and there you really get the sense walking away down this corridor with the low camera angle that this person is alone and feeling isolated. That's what I was going for. So I think it would have actually been cooler if the camera was up high and you sort of saw him disappear from a height rather than from below, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. And then that slow just fade to black. So that's like 55 seconds just outlining the problem, and it's a 2-minute video, so it's sort of half the video is the problem, half the video is the solution. It transforms the whole video, gets warmer, all the colours get more yellow, like orange, golden, and it's supposed to feel a bit more light and airy and a bit more magical. And so this is like the transition when the bars are sort of stretching out and you've got these like specks of dust that look like sparkly in the light, and I think that's quite a cool shot. One of the hardest things I had with this video was that the product that I've designed is quite intense with the digital layers, and I don't have like a working prototype, so a lot of it was trying to sort of Wizard of Oz it. That's the phrase we've been told, but sort of fake it till you make it, if that makes sense. So the only thing I had was this white 3D printed object, and just some like quite low fidelity screens that I'd made in Figma, and trying to tie those together was quite an interesting challenge. But for this shot, I have my little key light that I've got. Holly's got one as well, actually. This thing, it's like a really cheap light from China, but you can turn it on and you can change the color balance, so it's either cool or warm. And so I had this rigged on my magic arm, and it was just illuminating the product. You can see from the left it sort of glows, and it makes it stand out a bit more in the room. I think that was a good use of lighting for this situation, just to introduce the product into the video. And then that behind the video, behind the product, looking out into the room where the focus is on the product, but you can still see me sort of moving in the background. I just pulled my bedside table forwards and put the camera behind it, but it sort of feels like, how do you get that shot when the bedside table is pushed right up against the wall? Because you saw that in the previous shot. So again, it's just a cool way of sort of faking it a little bit. And again, you've got the nice light on the left, giving off a warm glow. The curtains are open. It's a light, airy room. The hood's still up, but it's sort of like, it is still part of this transition. Like, you're asking questions like, what actually is this product? Why is it on the bedside table, and what does it do? And that interaction, that's like the beginning of how it works. And ideally I'd have that as a real screen, but I think this does enough to sort of show, okay, he's turned the dial and now this thing's gone from red to green and it's gone from busy to available. Like, it sort of is quite self-explanatory to me, but I've also spent the year developing this idea a bit, so I'm not 100% sure. And then it brings in the other house users, and it gives context. Oh, Matt's suddenly gone from red to green, and now I'm going to rotate the dial and it will do the same. And it sort of explains the product without needing words. And that shot of them both getting up and walking out the frame, it wasn't really planned, but it was just sort of coincidence that if I blurred that middle line, it just about works out to sort of mimic that the product is like the same on both halves, if that makes sense. I thought that was quite cool. And then here you get down the corridor, a bit warmer light. Not the best lighting on this shot. I think that one could have done with a little bit more thought, but the camera's panning in rather than zooming out, so again you feel like you're in the action, you're part of it. And then just your standard transitions down the stairs. And this was again introducing a product, so this is like, I call it the anchor. So this is what goes in the communal space, and it shows everyone's state within the house. And what I actually did here was just take a screen still from this video, and then in Photoshop added in the digital screen and like the glow and the halation and all that sort of stuff, and just then removed the background off it and exported that as a PNG back into DaVinci, and then just overlaid that. Because the camera was static, it meant it sort of faked this look that it was a real product. And I actually think it looks quite good, like it does look quite realistic. And then the rest of this video is just about like coming together, and the whole idea is around this coffee, where in the first half this guy's just made coffee by himself, and in the second half it's bringing in the house, and it's a communal thing. And this shot was really cool. It's using my Nano again because it's waterproof, put it in the kettle and filled it up from there. I thought that was quite cool. And then yeah, just a few different shots of this group of people who are just clearly just enjoying being together, spending the time together. The one from outside looking in, it feels like it's like a happy family almost. Again, blue, nice sun. I think this was the only day that week that it was sunny, so I was trying to make sure that the filming was set out for this day. But it just gives this sense of like togetherness and this community, this feeling. All the different like zoomed in shots of the coffee cup or of the tree. It just adds a bit more to the ending. It sort of gives it a round off, like, oh, they've come together, they're having coffee there outside, and it's all because of this product. And then yeah, just the final drone shots. I just wanted to use the drone in the video, to be honest. I feel like it would differentiate my video from other people's on the course, because not everyone has a drone. Like zooms out and then you feel like you're one of many, and just you're within this world of people, and it's sort of quite a nice ending, I think. The logo, the catchphrase, the whatever it is, the branding comes up. And that was the whole video. And I was quite happy with it. I think it turned out really well. It's a bit of a risk though, because a lot of other people's is sort of a bit more like explaining the product again, but I'm hoping that they'll see it and take it for what it is rather than as a fail. I don't know. The whole point of it is for our degree show, which is it just goes on the screen as people walk around, so there is no audio to it anyway, which is a bit of a shame because the music really carries it, and without the music it's just not as good. But I'm hoping that the visuals will be strong enough by themselves to not have to worry too much about that. But that was my process. It was a mix of this lens 16 to 30 and a mix of the 28 to 70 as well, and obviously the DJI Nano and the drone. The last video I did, I used my Fujifilm, and just the colours on it were okay, but just colour grading this one with S-Log3 is just so nice. I don't know what it is, like specs wise the cameras are probably pretty similar for video, but don't know, just felt more like how I wanted it to look. I felt more in control using this Sony camera than the Fuji camera. That's the video. I hope you've liked this explanation. Holly just texted me dinner's ready, so it's perfect timing. I feel like it might be useful for some people. It would have been useful for me if I was trying to do this sort of thing.